The world would have considered Jesus as a criminal even today if he were not to rise on Easter Sunday. Secondly, the salvation plan of God, which began in the Old Testament, has come to a conclusion on Easter Sunday. Dearly beloved in Jesus Christ, welcome to the reflections of Easter Sunday 2024. Dear friends in Christ, on this Sunday, let's meditate upon two important notions. The first one, Jesus could have remained as a criminal in the sight of the world if he were not to rise on Easter Sunday. The punishment of the crucifixion was not new or did not begin with Jesus himself. To mention a few, the punishment of crucifixion was there even in the Bronze Age by the Assyrians. Later, this punishment was adapted by the Greeks. Finally, it was Romans who perfected the way of the punishment by the crucifixion. Therefore, before Jesus died on the cross, or before he was crucified on the cross, there were hundreds of brutal criminals who died on the cross. And all of them remained as criminals in the sight of the world. Secondly, the punishment of crucifixion did not stop with Jesus. Even after Jesus' death and resurrection, the crucifixion continued in the Roman kingdom. Many war criminals were crucified at once by the form of the cross. Therefore, before Jesus died, after Jesus rose, the punishment of crucifixion was there for the criminals and all the prisoners of the war. And all of them remained just as the criminals or the prisoners to the sight of the world. And this would have been same with the case of Jesus if he were not to rise on the Easter day. Imagine, if there is no Easter, Jesus would have died as a criminal with the contempt that he said he is the king of the Jews. And the entire world would have considered him a criminal. And even the world must have forgotten him now. But Jesus brought a new meaning to the cross. The crucifixion has become a devotion now because Jesus rose on the Easter Sunday. That is the significance that Christians celebrate every Easter Sunday. The simple wood, which has no meaning, has become a symbol of devotion now. A punishment that was given for the brutal criminals has become an act of sympathy, has become an act of love to the entire world. And on this Easter Sunday, we the Christians are to proclaim this message of love, message of forgiveness, message of peace and joy. In other words, resurrection is the proof that the entire world recognized Jesus not as a simple man, but as a God. Through resurrection, the world came to know the person of Jesus is a God, not a simple human being. And every Christian is supposed to proclaim this faith on Easter Sunday. Therefore, dear brothers and sisters in Jesus Christ, understand today, if there was no resurrection, Jesus would have remained a criminal and our faith would become null and void, just like Saint Paul said. The second point I would like to bring to you on Easter Sunday is the salvation plan of God, which began in the Old Testament, has come to its climax or the culmination with the resurrection of Jesus Christ. God the Father created the entire world with all its living creatures, and he created man and woman and put them in the garden. But man and woman, in their greediness or ignorance, committed sin and moved away from the presence of the Lord. And from then, the salvation plan of God began. When God the Father banished Adam and Eve from the garden, He promised a Messiah for them. And throughout the Old Testament, prophets spoke about this great Messiah coming and relieving Jews from the clutches of the Romans and giving them complete freedom. And on the Easter Sunday, Jesus, by rising from the dead, He gave complete freedom to every human being. He gave freedom from sin. He gave freedom from death. He overcame sin and death and showed to the world, see, this is what I am going to give you. Therefore, dear brothers and sisters in Jesus Christ, on this Easter Sunday, let's understand two important notions. The first one, Jesus would have remained a criminal if He were not to rise on Easter Sunday. Secondly, the salvation plan of God has come to conclusion on Easter Sunday. Let God bless us all and bring the new light of Easter into you and your families.